So you want to be awesome at the piano. I mean, if you love the piano, of course you want to be awesome at the piano. Who doesn't want to be awesome at the piano? But how do we get there? I'm a huge fan of, quick wins, learning something simple that can sound super amazing so that you can feel amazing at the piano. But the other side of that is we got to develop our technique. And I know kind of like, I don't know, maybe you have a history of, traditional piano training, and when you hear the word technique, you kind of get a little freaked out because it was just not a very fun experience for you. But technique is what will take you to the next level. It really is what will allow you to be able to play really anything at all that you want to play. So in this lesson, I wanted to tell you that technique practice can be fun. It can be engaging and entertaining, and if you have a short attention span like me, you can still get a good technique practice in. There are ways to make this work. So I thought I would walk you through my little technique routine. A lot of the times we just don't know what to practice when it comes to technique, so I'm gonna let you know how I will go through a technical practice in a way that kind of keeps me engaged and invested in what I'm doing. So number one, pick a key signature. And the first thing I want to tell you is that you don't need to learn all of the scales at once. It took me years and years and years to learn all the key signatures. So it could be C, that's the easiest one. It could be, like, maybe today we'll play with F. So the first thing I do is I pick a scale, and I usually stick with the same scale or key signature for at least a week, if not longer. You're just gonna settle into this key signature, you're gonna spend lots of time together, you're not gonna rush, and you're going to really enjoy it. So let's talk about the key of F, because that's what I wanna play around with today. So in the key of F, we have F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. And the reason that I picked this one is because we've got kind of a different fingering pattern on an F major scale in the right hand. We have to tuck at the 4, and it ends on the 4 in the right hand. And then the left hand is normal. So I like to begin all my piano practices actually with a warm-up, which is usually just a simple scale. So this is the first step. Spend some time with your scale, and don't think of it as, I have to practice this and there's no point. Think of this scale as what's gonna provide you with all the ingredients you need to have some really awesome, improvisations. You can have tons of fun with scales, but we'll get there. So spend some time with this scale. And this is gonna get boring really, really, really fast. So you have to keep yourself engaged. And that's how your brain actually retains information. So instead of just playing up and down your scale with a metronome 10 times, maybe try playing right hand staccato and the left hand legato, smooth. You might also try, I like to do this where I create like a musical exercise out of it. So I'll play the right hand kind of fast, and I'll play one note at a time in the left hand like this. And I'm using the pedal, and I'm just moving up one note at a time in my left hand, and you can just keep going. You can just carry your way on up the scale like that. And another fun thing to do is harmonize the scale. So right hand plays the major. The relative minor is played in the left hand. So if you've done some music theory, you know that every major scale has a relative minor. So doesn't that sound pretty? The relative minor uses the exact same notes as the major. So this is why learning your scale is so exciting, because you know all the ingredients, you know all the notes that you need in this key signature. So if you find the 6th note of your major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is D, you can just start your left hand on that, play the same notes. So you're gonna be playing all white keys except for B. That's a black key, it's B flat. And you can rock and roll just like that. It's so much fun. Okay, so practicing your skills like that, when you do it a little bit differently every time, will keep your brain engaged, which is gonna help you to become better. It prevents you from going into autopilot, and when you're in autopilot, you're not creating new pathways really. So staying on your toes, changing it up will make you better because you're gonna be more engaged in what you're actually doing. So not only is that more enjoyable, but it reinforces the learning big time. Okay, so the next thing, the next technique item for me is triads. So again, don't get ahead of yourself on these. If you're a beginner, you're not gonna be able to just sit down and run through all of your triads hands together perfectly. This takes a long time to develop. So when you're spending time on your triads, just be kind to yourself and start with just the first one. So you're gonna play F, A, and C. And maybe I'll just start with my right hand, and I'm gonna go back and forth like this. I'm just gonna get comfortable with moving between the first two. And when I'm ready, I will add the next one. And you can build it up from there and until you get to the very top and then head back down. When I was learning triads, this is how we had to practice them. Just up and down, perfectly, on the beat, with the metronome. And it was super boring. So find a way to make it a little bit more engaging and musical for yourself and make it manageable. So add the pedal. Pulse on the root note in your left hand. Repeat that and play the third tone of the triad in the left hand. Doesn't that sound so pretty? I'm gonna get a little crazy here and I'm gonna play this B flat. So this is a little moment where you can understand why learning your scales is so important, because you have all the notes now that are gonna sound good together. So pick another scale tone and rock that out again. So it sounds a little bit like tense, but it's gonna sound really good when I move up to that fifth tone of the triad, right? So I'm just exploring different ways to play what we're already playing, or what we've learned to play or expect when we're practicing technique. So two more things really quick. Arpeggios. So you got your scales, your triads, arpeggios. And these might be one of the most beautiful parts of technique practice. Again, they don't have to be boring. Use your pedal and start with a 1 octave arpeggio. Let's play around with our left hand. So use your pedal, start with just 1 octave, and then pick any notes of that F scale to play in your right hand. Sounds beautiful. And then when you're ready, you can add a 2 octave arpeggio into your left hand and you can switch the roles. So we have scales, we have triads, we have arpeggios, and then one more thing, which might be my most favorite, is the diatonic chords, which sounds super boring, but it's really, really great. It'll help you to learn how to play so many chords on the piano, and it's just another great way to connect with the scale. So it's actually a simple concept, a little more difficult in terms of dexterity, so it's good for you. But you're going to consider all the notes of the key signature you're working in. So in this case, we've got all white keys except for B flat. And I'm just gonna start on the first note of the F scale and create a chord. And then I'm gonna play a chord on every single note of this scale, just considering the rules. So every time there's a B, I play it as a flat. And I'm doing it at a good clip because I've practiced it, but you can do this super slowly. You could also do broken, so 1 note at a time. And you can use the pedal, you can add some dynamics and drama. Have fun with it. Again, creativity. Sky's the limit. Go with what feels good for you. But just when you're practicing your technique, when you approach it with playfulness, with creativity, it's gonna be so much more inspiring. You're gonna want to practice it, and it gives you that reason, right? So it's hard to go, well, I have to practice my scales and triads and arpeggios and chords because I just do. But when you realize that playing them helps to give you options when it comes to putting together songs, improvisations, just having fun at the piano, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more exciting and engaging. So I hope you enjoyed these little tidbits. Happy practicing, and see you around.